We are in caucus, and this is completely outrageous.
You have no proof for the demanded arrest of civilians.
They can avoid your airstrike.
And if I may,
and they have been met with resistance.
Before military action is taken, we can meet.
A new century, a new millennium, hopefully a new age of peace. The United Nations was born in response to the horrors of 2 global wars and countless international conflicts. Since the end of World War II, the United Nations has worked to foster dialogue among people of all nations. From the beginning, the United Nations has recognized that educating the next generation is vital to ensure lasting peace. Except for a brief hiatus during World War II, a form of the Model United Nations has been in continuous operation since the 1920s. Begun in 1923 as the Model League of Nations, the program was initially intended for university-level students. By the 1950s, the approach was recognized as an effective tool for high school students as well. Last year, over 200,000 people, from 6th graders to graduate students, participated in Model United Nations classes or clubs in over 32 countries worldwide. In high school and college classrooms and at conferences around the world, Model United Nations students are debating the same issues, learning the same tactics, and struggling for solutions together, just as in the real United Nations.
The resolutions that we make, if they would go on a world scale, they would work.
What we're doing in the Model United Nations is very close to what they're doing in the real United Nations.
You know, it's almost like playing sports. You know, you see, when you understand the game, you see how it all runs together.
Model UN offers an authentic simulation of the General Assembly, Security Council, and other UN sessions, letting students step into the shoes of ambassadors. To prepare for their role, students adopt an assigned country, learn all they can about it, and use all of their knowledge and talents to lobby for that nation's best interests. Model UN works virtually all of a student's mental muscles: history, geography, writing, public speaking, social skills, psychology, teamwork. Every one of these is essential in conflict resolution. Some students get involved in Model UN because they already have a strong interest in international relations.
The experience has really showed me the way so that a woman can do anything.
But it's a variety of students with all different interests that makes Model UN work.
We have the football player, we have the soccer star, we have the editor of the newspaper, we have the kid who just sits in class but has a quiet interest in the world. We have the outgoing, we have the soft-spoken. The thing that they have in common is that they are open-minded, that they are reflective, and that they can learn to research, find solutions, and then do it from a different country's perspective.
I basically thought that in Model UN conference you'd find basically just nerdy students, like students who sit there and want to watch CNN every day.
Whether it's buying an ice cream cone or being married or working in business or working in any type of international affairs, you're in constant state of negotiation. And the Model UN experience allows you to think about negotiation as a way of life.
As Model UN delegates, they must do in-depth research on human rights, sustainable development, economic and social issues, disarmament, peacekeeping, the environment, and issues related to women and children. Research usually begins in the library and increasingly on the internet.
So we went a lot on the internet to find information.
It all started on the internet.
We had the internet with the CIA, state government. We kept in touch with the cabinet of Bangladesh, exchanged emails.
Read the Tehran Times on a weekly basis on the website.
We had to listen to all the news. We had to buy different articles like magazines, the Newsweek, trying to find out anything that was on Bangladesh.
Nothing replaces real-life interaction with diplomats. So model UN students may visit embassies, missions, UN information centers, or other organizations as part of their research.
So basically sanctions as a preventative measure is not really applicable in this in the Security Council for preventing conflict, is that it?
We Brazil do not favor it.
You don't favor it, okay.
As students learn to step into the character of ambassador, role-playing is one of the most important parts of the job. Sometimes remaining in character proves particularly difficult when the views of another country are foreign to your own.
I honestly had no idea where Bangladesh was. When we first heard about it, a few of us were wondering, even on the map. But as we were researching it, we realized that we have a great country.
Try to keep close to the foreign policy of Islamic bloc and respect a religion which I have not personally studied in detail.
Thank you, Delegate. Saudi Arabia, you have 1 minute.
Saudi Arabia cannot support this report. It is dictated by the lofty principles of Islam.
Put yourself in somebody else's shoes for a while. Try to talk like these other people talk. Learn the subjects as they see the subjects.
Issues around the world suddenly don't seem so far away as students make connections between global issues and their daily lives.
One of my students is a swimmer, and he went this year for the first time, and his mom pulled me aside one day and said, you know, this is most incredible. When he used to come in, he used to look at the surf reports and the weather reports, and suddenly it's a race to the international section of the newspaper, and we don't turn off the news. We don't go to Sports Center. We want to listen to CNN. And she said the debates around the dinner table are taking a decided turn away from sports and into the world.
I think it makes kids aware of the world. I think Model UN just opens your eyes, because I think if you're ignorant of what's going on in the world or what's happening, you basically remain a child. And I think you just see and learn and understand so much more as a result of it.
I mean, how many high schoolers go to school and discuss the AIDS problem in Ethiopia?
For once, you kind of read the newspaper and pay attention to things going on.
And I watch the news because there's a connection to it that I didn't previously have, where I could say, oh, well, this is what the UN's gonna have to do about this, or, you know, they can't do that. It's against this charter, and this resolution says, you know, that's not possible. So it's definitely brought out my interest now that instead of just something happening somewhere, I know what's gonna have to be done about that.
Students pour their knowledge and writing skills into position papers. These 1- to 2-page summaries help outline their country's positions and lay the groundwork for speeches at upcoming conferences.
The position paper is the most important part of the conference because it tells your subject from a historical point of view, from your country's point of view, and what you want to do in the future.
With the bulk of research completed, the emphasis shifts from the written to the spoken word. Students must learn to draft speeches and learn how to give them effectively in preparation for upcoming conferences.
Yet no one can doubt that the havoc wreaked and the toll exacted by HIV/AIDS do threaten our security.
30 million adults in the world and children infected with the HIV virus in 1998, and 21 million of those were in Africa. So there's an exponential increase in African HIV contractions and AIDS, and it's becoming a huge problem there. I don't have the statistic with me, but there's a gigantic proportion of men enlisted in the army there that have HIV/AIDS, and when they're gone, who are they going to fight with?
Boys, don't stick your hands in your pockets. 93% of your communication message is nonverbal.
The goal of research, writing, and speeches is to help countries reach a consensus.
Oh, let's make sure we do a long-term and a short-term this time. So that way we're not just addressing one or the other, it's balanced.
In the long term, female equality must be addressed.
in a respectful way that respects each country's national sovereignty. We are a world community. Let's act like it.
The culmination of their hard work is the conference, which might include 1 or 2 schools, or several hundred, a few dozen students, or several thousand. And some schools who do not attend outside conferences might hold a model UN simulation in their classroom.
Be in character as much as we can. I know we've practiced it, but we're really going to leave America at the doorsteps.
Whatever country we do have, we assume that identity. That's a very important part of Model UN, thinking as another country.
Seeing so many young people gathered in the General Assembly chamber reminds us that the United Nations was indeed created for the sake of succeeding generations.
The conference covers a wide range of topics, from human rights to refugees, to women's issues, to peace and security. Delegates follow procedural rules aimed at allowing everyone time to be heard.
What's a roll call vote?
Okay. A roll call vote, the only difference between that and a standard vote is that they call you by nation rather than by show of placard.
Haiti, Honduras, Hungary, Iceland, India.
Students may vote on speaking time and time for responses.
Recognized delegate from Brazil. You have the floor for 20 seconds.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. 2 minutes is ample time to have for every delegation here to voice their opinion about the situation at hand.
All those opposed? This motion passes.
All those opposed? This motion fails.
Delegates motion for a caucus if they want to discuss issues in a more informal setting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion for caucusing of 30 minutes.
Students will spend a good deal of their time caucusing, gathering almost anywhere to discuss and hopefully reach a consensus.
Some kind of diplomatic dialogue with France and Spain. I know it's going to be difficult.
The goal of both formal sessions and caucusing is to present new ideas, gain allies from other countries to support your ideas, and move towards drafting resolutions. Both formal sessions and caucuses can become quite heated, but students in Security Council face even more tension. At some point, they may be faced with a crisis. An emergency event will be sprung on them and demand immediate action.
I have convened the Security Council for an emergency session.
Delegates need to be prepared to discuss situations from today's headlines.
If you are planning on taking unilateral actions, what is that to guarantee that you're not going to come over to our country next?
Delegate, please, order. Delegate, please, order.
Each conference ends with voting on draft resolutions. Just as in the real United Nations, some resolutions pass, but many do not.
This peace agreement does pass.
Take an interest in the world, take an interest in the UN, and becoming engaged. And I think you should stay engaged. You are the leaders of the 21st century. And we are moving into a global village.
Thank you very much.
I know, I'm like so happy you guys worked really well.
It really worked well. It was excellent work.
You can come prepared, you can do research all year long, but when you get here, you realize that what really counts in all the international relations and negotiation is really interpersonal skills.
Besides a learning tool, it's a great way to socialize with great people. You meet so many different people and they become